You're standing in an elevator, doors close. It's just you and one other person, and out of nowhere you say something. It's not even bad. It's just a little weird. Maybe you laugh too loud at your own joke. Maybe you say you too when the barista says enjoy your coffee, and for the next 6 hours your brain replays that moment on a loop. High definition, surround sound. You're going over an elevator interaction with a total stranger like it's the Zapruder film. Meanwhile, the actual stranger, that person is not thinking about you at all. They forgot you exist somewhere around the second floor. Here's the thing, nobody tells you that gap between how big the moment feels in your head and how small it actually was. That's not a personality flaw. That's not you being too sensitive or an overthinker. That's a specific, measurable, heavily studied glitch in how your brain processes information. Psychologists call it negativity bias. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It's running your relationships, your memory, your reputation, basically your entire inner life. And most of it is happening completely below the hood. So let's pop the hood. Think about how you'd rate an experience. Like, imagine your brain runs on a 5-star review system. Logically, 1 bad review and 9 great reviews should average out to something pretty solid, right? That's not how your brain does math. In your head, 1 1-star review doesn't get averaged in. It basically deletes the other 9. A researcher named John Gottman actually measured this in real relationships. He spent years filming couples just talking, arguing, laughing, doing dishes together, whatever. And then he tracked which of those couples eventually got divorced. Here's the part that's genuinely insane. The thing that predicted a breakup years in advance wasn't how much affection a couple showed each other. It was the ratio of negative moments to positive ones, and Gottman found you need roughly 5 good interactions just to cancel out the emotional damage of 1 bad one. 5 to 1. Think about that for a second. Your relationship's trust meter isn't a bar that fills up evenly with every nice thing your partner does. It's more like a video game where the enemy's attack does 5 times the damage your healing spell restores. You could be an incredible partner 90% of the time, and one snippy comment during a stressful Tuesday can wipe out a week of goodwill. Not because your partner is petty, because that's just the exchange rate. That's the tax negativity charges on literally every relationship you'll ever have. And it gets weirder, because this bias doesn't even play by consistent rules of logic. It breaks physics. There's this one experiment, and honestly, it's one of my favorite pieces of psychology ever conducted, where a researcher named Paul Rosen drops a cockroach into a glass of apple juice, swirls it around, then takes the cockroach out, filters the juice, boils it, filters it again. At this point, the juice is scientifically cleaner than the tap water coming out of your faucet. He offers it to people. Nobody wants to drink the juice, and they know it's irrational. People say it out loud, I know this is stupid, I know it's clean, and they still won't drink it. Here's why that's such a big deal. It means contamination in your brain doesn't follow the actual laws of chemistry. It follows an entirely different, much dumber law, which Rosen called negativity dominance. Basically, bad beats good, always no matter the ratio. A tiny bit of bad can ruin a huge amount of good, but a huge amount of good cannot undo even a tiny bit of bad. There's an old proverb for this. A spoonful of tar spoils a barrel of honey. A spoonful of honey does absolutely nothing for a barrel of tar. Your brain is running a corrupted file system where 1 bad byte flags the entire folder as malware forever. No amount of good code overwrites that memory. That's why one embarrassing thing you did in 8th grade can still make you cringe at 31, while an entire decade of things going right just kind of doesn't stick the same way. And okay, here's where it gets almost unfair. This isn't something you learned. This isn't a habit from a bad childhood or too much social media. Researchers tested infants, actual babies, 8 to 14 months old, babies who cannot talk, cannot reason, have not been through trauma, have barely been alive long enough to be disappointed by anything. And they responded faster to snakes than flowers, faster to angry faces than happy ones. Let that sink in. This bias shipped pre-installed. It's not a bug you picked up along the way. It's factory firmware, running before you even had a fully booted operating system. You were doing threat detection before you could hold your own head up. And the detection system doesn't slow down as an adult. It just gets sneakier. There's a whole body of research on something called the anger superiority effect, where if you put one angry face in a crowd of happy, neutral faces, people spot it almost instantly, faster than spotting one happy face in a crowd of angry ones. And when they hook people up to brain sensors, the angry face lights up your threat circuitry before you've even consciously registered you're looking at a face. Before, you are quite literally running background surveillance software 24/7, scanning every room you walk into for the one person who might not like you. And it finishes loading before your actual conscious brain has even opened the app. So, genuinely dramatic. Your ancient brain treats one unreturned text like a wounded gazelle limping away from a lion. It is preparing for mortal combat over a typo. Now, here's where the data gets almost funny in how petty it is. There's a classic finding in psychology called propinquity, which is just a fancy word for you become friends with people who live near you. Makes sense. Proximity breeds familiarity. Familiarity breeds friendship. Except a follow-up study found something nobody expected. On average, living close to someone was actually more likely to turn them into an enemy than a friend. Same variable. Opposite outcome. Proximity isn't a make friends button. It's just a volume knob, and it turns out negative relationships render in higher resolution. Every mildly annoying thing your neighbor does, you experience in 4K repeatedly because you live 4 feet away from it. And this bias doesn't just distort your relationships in the moment, it edits your entire timeline. There's a study that tracked people's mood day to day and found this strange asymmetry. A good day, statistically, barely touched how someone felt the next day. It just sort of evaporated, but a bad day carried over. It bled into tomorrow, and tomorrow's mood was measurably lower because of it. Here's the thing, nobody tells you. Your good days do not save to the cloud. They vanish overnight, no backup, gone. Your bad days autosave, sync across every device you own, and greet you the second you open your eyes. And this is the part that explains basically every group chat you've ever agonized over. Baumeister, one of the researchers behind this whole body of work, found that bad reputations are easy to earn and brutally hard to shake. Good reputations are the opposite, slow to build, and can get wiped out in a single afternoon. It takes one caught lie to undo a decade of trust. It takes a decade of being reliable to maybe undo one caught lie. Your social reputation works like a ratchet wrench. It only tightens in the negative direction. Loosening it back toward good takes about 10 times the torque it took to tighten it. So here's the honest, slightly uncomfortable summary of everything you just heard. Your brain isn't broken. It's not uniquely paranoid, or uniquely insecure, or worse at this than everyone else scrolling past you right now. Every single human being alive is running the exact same ancient, slightly buggy software. The same one that made a caveman jump at a shadow that turned out to be nothing, because the caveman who didn't jump didn't get to have descendants. You are the descendant of the paranoid ones. Every one of us is that elevator moment you replayed for 6 hours. The other person's brain is doing this exact same thing right now to some tiny moment of their own that you will never know about and would never judge them for. Everyone is starring in their own mortifying highlight reel and absolutely nobody in the audience. That's the actual freedom in understanding this. It's not that you'll stop feeling the sting of the one bad comment in a sea of good ones. You won't. The wiring is too old for that. But you can finally stop mistaking the volume of the feeling for the size of the truth. Your brain screaming that something matters enormously has never once been proof that it does. So the next time you're replaying something small on a loop, you can just notice it for what it actually is. Not a character flaw, just some very old software, doing exactly what it was built to do, a little too loudly, in a world that mostly doesn't need it anymore.